and it's very much a multi-channel approach. So with that, let me now introduce Caroline Densley from Diverse Travel Australia to deliver the presentation this morning. Welcome, Caroline.
Thank you, Gary. Morning, everyone. I'd like to acknowledge the Larrakia people, the traditional owners of this country, their elders past and present. And what a beautiful place to hold a conference. It's been truly wonderful and some lovely warm weather. I guess a lot of people that enter the tourism industry or are thinking about entering the tourism industry need to understand the different ways that you can attract clients to your business. And I wouldn't imagine there's too many businesses in the room that can put their hand up and say 100% of their clients come direct to them, find their brochure, find their website, or drive past and walk through their door. In an ideal world, that would be wonderful. But there is a distribution system that used to be quite traditional in its way it's operated, and now with the advent of the internet and technology, things have changed considerably within that. But the traditional system still has a role to play. So we'll do a quick overview. It's one of those subjects that can be a bit like death by PowerPoint. So let's hopefully the discussion after the PowerPoint is interesting, and we'll note down your questions because we're happy to answer as many as you can come up with. So how do your clients find your product? There's often the direct way that I mentioned. So you have a brochure that could be in a visitor information centre. You have a website. It's very important if you're going into tourism or are in tourism that you have a very good website. Word of mouth is very important. So past clients, friends, relatives, etc. can pass on information about your business. As I said, the visitor information centres are playing more and more of a role in actually revenue generating for themselves by acting as booking agents as well. So in the past they just used to carry brochures, but now they can actually make bookings for tours and accommodation. Travel agent, as we know, is the shop front on the street. I notice over here in the Darwin waterfront there's a flight centre, so that's one of your travel agencies. That's actually a global brand that's out there, so people can go into a travel agency. Then there's a wholesaler, and our wholesalers are generally in the international countries. So the inbound tour operator, which is the next layer, is based in your home country, and the wholesaler is based in an international marketplace. And often they have their own chain of retail agencies. So there's lots of ways that the message about your business can be distributed internationally. So this is generally known as the travel trade distribution, and it really is an important part of your business mix. And as Gary mentioned, when you're looking at average commissions that you're paying to businesses, that's really understanding how your business works, where your customers come from, and that is all part of your business mix. So what are distribution channels? This is a means of allowing others to sell your product for you. Why do we need distribution channels? Because you can't be everywhere all the time. It's very expensive and time-consuming travelling and educating people about your product. It's also quite efficient. If someone else is out doing the work for you and it's not costing you anything because you only have to pay a commission when you get a booking, it saves money and time for your business. It also allows the market specialists to do work for you. The inbound tour operators, the wholesalers and the retail agents travel a lot. They go on familiarisation tours. They really know their own customers in their own country. They really get to know the product. So they are very knowledgeable people and very valuable assets to your business. So the distribution chart, you've got the customer, which could be a domestic tourist, which is wonderful, or an international tourist. They may go into a retail travel agency, see your tour, accommodation or experience in a brochure. That retail agent has a connection with a wholesaler. Some examples of different wholesalers. So Qantas Holidays are a very big player in the market. Australia à la carte are a French wholesale business. Boomerang Reisen come out of Germany and are very proactive and very supportive of Indigenous tourism. Travel Essence is out of the Netherlands and again very supportive and proactive in promoting Indigenous tourism to their clients. Then in Australia there are a lot of inbound tour operators. Some are very big companies and some are the smaller ones. So ATS Pacific are a very big company in Sydney. JCM Destination also in Sydney focus on the French market as well as other markets. GoWay have a very big presence in the US and Europe. And then, as Gary mentioned, the online ones are becoming more and more prominent. So one of the examples is Expedia. There's also things like Last Minute and What If now. Those guys are now not only selling accommodation but flights and tours as well. And then there's the operator, that's yourself. So this is sort of the distribution chart. And there's various ways that this can work, because you can go from yourself direct to the consumer, but you also need to factor in or think about factoring in the different chain as well. The distribution multiplier just shows that if you've got a connection with wholesalers, they've got those linked to the travel agents, and those travel agents have got the links to the consumers, the customers that you want to be booking your product and going on your tours. So it's a valuable asset of spreading the word. Now, how do we earn our money? We don't actually own a tour or own the accommodation, so we earn it by the commission. Now, this commission is paid to the trade upon them delivering new customers. So if we're not receiving any customers from anyone in the distribution system, it's not actually costing you any money. There are areas of brochure distribution, and that's a whole other subject, but generally, if no one's delivering you customers as part of the trade, then you're not having to pay them any money or any commission. But if they are, then that's wonderful, so they've done a lot of work on your behalf, so their award or payment for that is through a commission. A lot of people get misled and think of the commission as a discount. I'll discount it for you, but it's not. It's actually part of your operating costs and your marketing costs within your business. So when you're thinking about starting a business or you are in a business, you really need to understand the dollar side of the business, so what your marketing costs are and where your commissions are going and how much they are. So it's important to keep tabs on all of those. So the distribution system, basically they're putting bums on seats in your tour vehicle or at your experience. They're putting heads on your pillows in your accommodation or your camp. They're putting visitors on your guided walk. And as I mentioned, the commission is the method of paying for this distribution, and the different layers in that travel trade distribution list that I showed you earn different amounts of commission. So the maximum you should ever really be paying in the traditional sense is 30 to 35%, but a retail travel agency generally works on a 10% commission. A wholesale, it looks at 20%, and the inbound tour operator, 25 to 30%. Now, the pricing of your tours that Gary mentioned and working out your average commission, again, could be another whole workshop. But a lot of people get alarmed and think, 30%, I've got to put 30% on top of my tour price. If you're working across the distribution and you understand where your customers are coming from, generally the average commission you might be paying across a yearly period could be 10%, could be 12%, 15 or 17. Until you get trading and get some customers and sort of can understand where your visitors are coming from, it is hard to work out your commissions. But you don't need to be alarmed and think, I've got to whack 30% on top of my price. There are ways of doing it. And you're not always paying out that 30%. Now, how we work is that the 30% doesn't go solely to the inbound tour operator. They actually then pass on the commission down that chain. So you don't add all those up and think, if there's a wholesaler or a retailer, I'm losing 60%. 30% is taken by the inbound tour operator. They pass 20% on to the wholesaler, who then in turn passes 10% on to the retail agent. And as mentioned already, you're only paying these commissions when bookings are generated. Another thing that's with the internet's providing a lot of challenges for the distribution system is the pricing. So when we talk about pricing, a gross price or a retail price is the price that's actually displayed to the customer. That's the price that's in a brochure, that's the price that's on a website. When you're working with the trade, behind the scenes, away from the customers, that's known as the net price. So that's the retail price less the commissions. Net prices are not disclosed to the public, should not be published on websites, and it's the distribution gets very upset when they're being undercut out there by people. So it's really important that you understand how the commissions work and how you display your pricing out in the internet and on your websites and out in the market there. So you don't mark up that retail price. I mean, we work a lot with the bed and breakfast industry and other industries in this country, and they say, no, you just have to put your markup on top of what's on our website. It's like, well, that's actually unprofessional and really not allowed. You need to understand that if we're driving business to you, that it needs to come off your advertised price on your website. So there's a lot of lack of knowledge out there about how the distribution works, and just sort of casting off and saying that is not very appropriate. So if you're understanding it right from the beginning, it can save you a lot of grief down the track when you do start working with the trade. Distributors, they definitely want a level playing field, and they'll very quickly drop you like a smelly sock or a hot potato if you don't abide by the rules of the system. And having been around now for 14 years in this industry, working as an inbound distributor, I've heard many a story and woe from a service provider or a product that has been dropped by an ITO because they did do the wrong thing, so it does happen. What do we do? In a sense, we're a one-stop shop for the overseas agent. We're the 24/7 contact. We provide the bookings and the reservation services. We do package quotations. So, clients come to Australia out of the US typically for 14 days, 2 of which those days are travelling. They have, 11 or 12 nights in Australia. We basically start from the moment they arrive for their airport transfer we take them back at the airport at the end of the trip and put everything together in between by contracting, working with different product suppliers. So we create those package quotations. We also can construct our own packages, which we can put on websites and promote directly to clients as well. So the internet's allowing the inbound market and the wholesalers to also go direct, which is another aspect of the distribution now. Always looking for new product as well out there, because you always want to differentiate yourself from your competitor in another country or down the road. What can we provide and sell they don't have in their brochure yet, something that's new and exciting. In Australia, when your tourists, the visitors are here, we provide that 24/7 contact. So when there is a flood in Queensland or a cyclone and the tourist's whole trip's been turned on its head by something, then we are the point of contact. It's a one phone call for us to then try and fix up their holiday and deal with all the issues they've got. Haven't booked with someone, that connection isn't here, then often it's the tourist that's trying to ring 15 different places, sit on queues on telephones and try and reorganise their flights and accommodation. So we provide a valuable service for that actual customer when they're in the country. So again, benefits, we do the marketing of your product on your behalf. We absorb a lot of the international communication and marketing expenses. Most inbound tour operators will travel overseas on a regular basis and educate their wholesalers and retailers in market. We have a lot of expertise in handling the global time variations, the language variations, and the different cultural differences of our clients overseas. We take all the financial risk-taking. We're the ones that have to invoice, get the money, deal with the exchange rates and currency exchange. As we know, with the strong Australian dollar, there's been a lot of challenges. There's a lot of brochure prices because the way the system works are done 12 to 18 months in advance. So there's a lot of issues around those. We deal with all those problems and those issues. We can also provide you with advice on the best distribution lines for your product, which market it is suitable for, which ones maybe it isn't suitable for. And we also have that extensive knowledge of the international customers, their needs, and the changing travel desires of the customers. So if you think you want to work within the distribution system, there's ways of doing it in a considerate way and really maximising the benefits for yourself. So you need to understand and identify the distributors that have a client base that would suit your clients. As Gary said, there's a growing emphasis on the Eastern market, and we're still, Jing commented yesterday about the Chinese and their style of travel and whether they're entirely ready yet for an Indigenous experience in Australia. We're still sort of discovering that. But you need to know there's no point banging on the door of a distributor that's in a market that doesn't suit your product. So you really need to understand those ones out there that have clients that suit your product. So what markets are they active in? Is it the North American market, the German, the Western European market? Is your product suitable for FITs, which is the free independent traveller, or is your product specifically for groups? So there's wholesalers out there that really, and inbound operators that actually focus on group travel only. There's those that have a mix, and some predominantly work with the free independent traveller. So you've got to make sure you're knocking on the door of the one that suits your product again. You've got to find the right person within that organisation. As I mentioned before, some of these organisations are very big. They might have 90 people in their reservations office. There's no point ringing up and speaking to them. You've got to find the product manager, and they're the one that usually attend the business-to-business events that are facilitated by someone like ATEC, and that's a membership organisation within Australia that has a strong focus on the business-to-business relationships between the distributors and the product. So you need to find the key people within the organisation. Overloading them with too much information is, they are very busy people and don't have a lot of time, so if you can come up with a one-page document that has your absolute unique and key selling points, what differentiates you from the product down the road, your competitors in the marketplace. Where possible, visit their office, because predominantly they're based in the major capital cities on the East Coast, and I'm actually based in Adelaide, and there's one inbound tour operator here in Darwin, there's a couple in Perth. So find out where they're located and make an appointment and go and see them. Offer to run a training session in their reservation staff. As you can imagine, there's thousands of products in reservation system. How does your product jump out to someone when they're planning someone's holiday? So don't be frightened to say, can I come? Go to the shop, buy a box of muffins, go in, sit down with the reservation staff and give them a nice training session about your product. Offer them a FMIL, incredibly important. Work with your state and tourism organisation and Tourism Australia. They're constantly bringing wholesalers, journalists over, and providing a FMIL is a really, really good way of educating people about your product. So you can always say, once you've experienced something, you always sell it better. So, coming to Darwin and walking around Darwin, going to the restaurants, using the transport system, it makes it so much easier for me to know how to sell Darwin as a destination. Your rate sheets, so this is your pricing sheets. Make sure there's as much information about how to book and how to do it all on the one sheet, so they don't have to try and contact you all the time with silly, inane and annoying questions. If all the information is presented on your rate sheet, that makes the job easier. So try and make the job easier for the reservations person. And always keep them updated, because we know products and circumstances and things can change. So have a line of communication with the person that the contact within that organisation. Keep them updated all the time on anything that might change within your product, with your phone number or anything that might be different, or a different contact person within your organisation. We get a lot of people where their bank accounts change. So when you go to pay them, they've forgot to tell you or put a new thing on your invoice. So there's just a lot of things you need to think about in that communication thing. As I mentioned before, brochures are often printed 12 to 18 months in advance. So you need to be thinking about your next season's rates. Typically the tourism industry pricing runs from the 1st of April each year to the 31st of March. So on Sunday we click over into the new rates season. So the rates for what we call 12-13, which is the coming tourism season, have really needed to be set in like September last year. The Australian Tourism Exchange, which is the very large travel trade in Australia, is generally held in June each year, and traditionally inbound, the product had to go to ATE with their rates set. That's changing a little bit now because there's a lot of external pressures, and people were nervous about setting their rates too early with fuel prices and exchange rates, so there has been a bit of a lag in some of that now. One of the key things that's really important is that you must respond to an inquiry from the distribution system within 24 hours wherever possible. We work across all time zones, so as we go into the office in the morning, the America's hammering our email system wanting answers. As we're trying to get out of the office in the evening, Europe's awake and they're asking questions and wanting responses. So if we don't hear from you, we can't get back to them. You may be the one link that's holding up a 21-day itinerary, even though you're only a couple of days or one day of that. You're making our job very difficult, and in the end, if it becomes too difficult, you'll slide out of contention of being part of the itinerary. So it's really important that you can respond within a timely fashion and that you're contactable. And I know I've spent a lot of time with Indigenous people in Australia with the tourism businesses, and often they are the business, and when they're on tour, they're out of mobile phone range. So there's got to be a system or a way that you can come up with to try and improve your contactability within the industry. I've already mentioned ensure that rate parity. Nothing gets more annoying than if you've got a customer on your tour that's paid a certain price and the one next door is paid a different price, and they talk, and customers do talk. But also if the trade sees, if you offer a special out there in the marketplace, then it should be available at the same commission to your distributor. So always be conscious of not upsetting the distribution system if they're delivering your business. So the quickest way to lose that is to be seen to be offering different rates too. So when starting out, ensure you understand their business and how your product will fit in. If it fits right, then be polite and consistent and persistent with them, because your first visit isn't necessarily going to deliver your customers. It's the same with attending something like ATE. They say once they see you there for consecutive years, then they have the confidence that this product is here for the long term. We will put it in our brochure and support it and try and gain customers. So it's about being consistent, persistent and politely so, because these people are incredibly busy with dealing with thousands of products in some instances, so you've really got to understand that. And just remember that, even though the internet's out there, you can have your own website, have your own brochures. That ideally, if that gave you 100% of your business, fantastic. But always remember the distributors are an important part of the business mix and key to getting and growing your business. Thank you.